Welcome to the Horse Hour podcast. We are at the National Equine Forum today in London. It's very exciting. Some expert speakers are all getting together and talking about how we can improve the equestrian industry. So I'd like to welcome Tim Parkin. He's the Head of Division of Equine Clinical Sciences and he's Clinical Director of the Weipers Centre Equine Hospital. And he is speaking very shortly. How are you, Tim?
Very good, thanks. Yeah, very good.
So what is it that you're going to be talking about today?
Well, today I'm specifically talking about an initiative that we started about almost 2 years ago now, actually, which is, we've named it the Thoroughbred Health Network. It's an idea that we came up with probably 4 or 5 years ago, and we've been looking for funding to do so. But essentially what we do, we take all the academic information there is out there that is currently inaccessible to stakeholders, whoever they may be in the industry, and turn it into usable bite-sized chunks of information that they can then use to improve the health and welfare of their horse. The reason we started, we called it the Thoroughbred Health Network, was because originally it started as a purely racehorse-oriented initiative, largely due to the funding we had. But now I'm here today talking about launching the initiative nationally and broadening the scope into all equestrian activities.
Oh, that's a brilliant idea. So I guess you'll register any breed, any age, in any discipline.
Well, what we do essentially, we've got a website, Thoroughbred Health Network. You can Google that. We've got a Twitter handle and we've got a Facebook page, and we invite anyone interested in equine health or welfare to become a member of the network. It's free of charge, obviously. If you become a member, then you essentially can drive what we talk about on the network, and anyone has access to the website, and so they can go onto the website and have a look at the topics that we put up there, have a look at the information we've put up there in terms of equine health. We've got stuff on EIPH, we've got stuff on gastric ulceration, etc., that sort of stuff.
Tim, what's EIPH?
Sorry, equine-induced pulmonary hemorrhage. So it's a common condition in the thoroughbred. There's 3 different sections on EIPH, so we've got up there on the website that talk about treatment, prevention, etc. And we've also got videos on there of the workshop that we held at Musselburgh Racecourse back in the late summer 2016. So there's more detailed information on there for those who want it. Essentially, it's open to anyone to become a member. As I said, it's free of charge. The value of becoming a member is that then we can canvass you as to what you want to hear about. So we've done that, and we've got a priority list of topics that we're going to address. And we've got a research assistant, Laura Friend, who's here with us today, who essentially then searches the academic literature on that topic and condenses it into evidence-based best practice advice for the equestrian horse owner, the racehorse vet, the racehorse trainer, whoever it may be.
Well, can you say some of those subjects that you're going to be looking into?
Well, lots of things. So we've already looked at equine-induced pulmonary hemorrhages. We looked at information with respect to fractures. We're looking at information with respect to tendon injuries. We're looking specifically for the racehorse. We've looked at the evidence relating to the relationship between the racing or training surface and injury. We've got a whole raft of stuff that is. We've got a list of about 20 or 30 different topics that we're slowly going through. We're going to get up onto the website over the next 2 or 3 years to essentially give the equestrian stakeholder as much information as possible. We just recognize that, for example, with respect to the EIPH topic, Laura searched through 208 academic papers and collated all that information into one single document. And that's the size and the scope of the thing we're sort of embarking upon. But it does tell you how much information there is out there that I can guarantee most equestrian owners, racehorse vets, whoever they may be, really will not have any access to. They won't have read those academic papers. There are lots of academics who produce that work, and actually it goes into publication and then doesn't reach the end user.
No, I know. And that's because a lot of it maybe is because we don't understand it, Tim. I'll be honest. We need it in layman's terms, really simple, easy to understand. Can you do that?
That's exactly what we're doing. So the way the website is structured, and I would advise anyone to go on there, it's like a kind of an accordion. So we have bullet point take-home messages, 6 or 7 bullet point take-home messages for each topic we look at. If you click on those, and they are color coded, so they're green, amber, or red. Green would suggest that we have very good, strong evidence for the message we're putting forward. Amber means that there's sort of mediocre evidence, there's some evidence for it. Red means actually we really need to know more about that, and there isn't the evidence in the academic literature to tell us anything about that. But then you can click on those bullet points, and then it broadens out such that you then get a little bit more detail. So those who are really interested in it can look into the more detail, but essentially the bullet points are there, just 6 or 7 top tips for each of the particular issues that we're talking about.
So if you're focusing on horse racing to start with, and the racing industry and thoroughbreds, that will have a direct impact on the eventing industry.
Of course. I mean, we recognise it. So we've initially focused on the thoroughbred and initially focused on the north of England and Scotland due to funding issues. So we were funded by the Scottish SPCA. We need to spend Scottish SPCA money in Scotland. We were funded 50% by the Racing Foundation, so essentially that money has to be spent on the thoroughbred. But we do recognise that a lot of the issues that thoroughbreds get are equally equivalent in other equestrian activities. So it's perfectly reasonable to expect that actually any equestrian activity, horse owner or whoever it may be, would find some value in the Thoroughbred Health Network. What we're specifically talking about today is the fact that we're launching the Thoroughbred Health Network as a national wider resource, and we're in the process at the moment. We've got one more year of funding from the Racing Foundation and the Scottish Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the SSPCA. So we've got one more year of funding from them, but we're looking at essentially setting up the Thoroughbred Health Network as an independent charitable trust in itself, such that it can then be sustainable and continue to apply for money from many different industry bodies or other charitable organizations to enable this initiative to continue as a national initiative and into the future. And indeed as an international initiative. I do a reasonable amount of work in the States, and there's our second biggest user group are those from the States, because I talk about it all the time I go to America. And that's mostly with respect to racing, but we have a lot of followers in the States as well as the UK.
It's a huge task you're taking on, Tim. It
is an enormous task.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, the vast majority of that work falls to Laura, a friend who is here, as I said today, who is the RA employed on the project. She does a fantastic job of collating all that information and making it, putting it into accessible terminology for us. And then they all come back to John Keane, Richard Riordan, and myself, who kind of lead the project. John and Richard are at Edinburgh University, to sort of sense check it, if you like, and then it goes up on the website. But Laura is the person who really gets the credit for the amount of work that goes into it.
Yeah, 260 documents, you said. I mean, that takes years to put through, but that's just the documentation that you know about.
Well, that's what's in the academic press that she can access, yeah. So, yeah. And in reality, if you get that much information, then you've probably covered everything that you need to know about that particular condition. And what we're very keen on is that all the information we put up there is evidence-based. So we're not looking at anecdote. Each study that she looks at is assessed for its rigor and its evidence-based, such that we are convinced that what we put up there is good, strong evidence. Certainly those that are color-coded green are good, strong evidence. So we can be pretty sure that actually if we put up some advice on there, then it's going to do good and it's not going to do harm.
Do you think this will at some point be connected to the passport network that that they're talking about building?
I would hesitate to say yes. I think our membership we're up to about 800 individuals at the moment, but we've literally just been restricted to north of England and Scotland and just racehorse related people at the moment. So I think it's probably would be difficult to suggest there might be a link. I think we're early stages yet with respect to what's going to be happening with the central equine database and passports, and I wouldn't like to jump the gun as yet.
But isn't it great that the industry is coming together and everybody's working together so much more, and you've got your different sections that all have these incredible ideas like the Thoroughbred Health Network, and they're saying actually if we all work together then we can look after the welfare of the horses and the future of the equestrian industry and the buying and selling and importing and exporting. We can really protect our industry so much more.
I think it's really critical. I think, I've been in this game for 20 years now or something, and I'm an epidemiologist, so I look at numbers, I look at data all the time, and I get funded to do different projects. And say the first 10 years I did a lot of that, and I had a lot of fun playing around with data. It may not seem like fun to most people, but actually playing around with data and actually just producing a result, producing another academic paper, and then on to the next project. In the last 10 years, I've become much more aware that actually it's public money often that we're using, and actually we have to have an impact on the ground. It's really critical that all the work we do actually sees the light of day for the industry stakeholder. And I think many, many more academics are realizing that and understanding that it's a really important part of the work they do.
Do you have any idea what some of the questions are going to be today? Have you thought about what people might ask you?
No, I like to wing it. I haven't thought about the questions. I will welcome any question as long as it's not about Brexit, maybe.
Well, Brexit's already covered, so you don't need to worry.
Exactly. So I'm not going to be there doing that.
When did you first start the Thoroughbred Health Network?
We started almost exactly 2 years ago, actually. So there was an initial sort of period where we thought about what questions we needed to do, developing the website. So the website's been live for about 18 months now. I think we've got about 6 different topics up there at the moment. And we've held one workshop, and we're now, with a year to go with the current funding, we're now sort of in the process of turning it into its own charitable trust in its own right.
Amazing. So we just log on then. What is the website address?
It's simply Thoroughbred Health Network.
Perfect. So we log on to that.
Google that and it'll come straight up. And you can log on. And as soon as you log on, there'll be a pop-up page that invites you to subscribe. If you're already a member, then you just close that page. If you're not, then you can subscribe. Essentially, that subscription is useful for us because it tells us where members are, what their role in the industry is, and when new topics get put up, then all members get emailed that a new topic has gone up, so everyone gets invited to go and look at the website and review the new topic. Equally, you can follow us on Twitter, Thoroughbred Health Network again, or Thoroughbred HN, I think it is, on Twitter. That tends to be a pretty active Twitter handle. Laura is very good at keeping that going. And again, so when a new topic goes up, simply just follow us on Twitter and we'll get alerted to the fact that a new topic has gone up. Or if there's any other news related to the equestrian industry or racing, whatever it may be, then I do a lot of work with the FEI on endurance horses and that sort of thing. So we're including all the news that we do on FEI endurance horses on there as well.
Oh, amazing. It won't be long then before you do have something from each breed, because I think that's vital as well. We can't just think about one particular breed, because different breeds suffer with different injuries and you know, they need different food, and then the disciplines as well affect their muscle. I don't know why I'm telling you this. You're a vet, you know.
I think you hit on a very good point. It's exactly why, you know, you're doing a very good job for us. You're encouraging different industry stakeholder groups to become part of the membership. If we get a whole ton of people from eventing or a whole ton of people from show jumping onto the website, onto the Thoroughbred Health Network, becoming members and telling us they want to hear about X, Y, or Z, then we will be forced to address those particular issues. We want to be driven by the membership, and we will reprioritize what people want to hear about based on what we hear through the website.
Well, Tim, I want to hear about everything. I'm fascinated with it. I'd love the health of the horses, the welfare of the horses, and I'm like a little sponge, so the more information I can get, the better. The issue that I've always had previously, like I said, is understanding those papers. And, you know, I'm not a vet. I don't know. I'm a very new horse owner. So Laura needs to think of me as the most basic equestrian ever and say, right, I need Amy to understand it. If she can understand it, anybody can. Well,
I invite you to have a look at the website, and if there's something you can't understand on there, then drop us a line, and we will. And that is one of the good things about the website. You know, we're constantly looking for feedback. We're constantly looking to see how we can improve it, and we do respond to people when they sort of suggest we got something wrong or suggest we got something right.
Well, I think it's a brilliant thing that you're doing. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to hearing you speak. We will be live tweeting what you're talking about, and we'll throw in some of the questions that people have asked and find out what your off-the-cuff answers are. I think that'd be great.
I'm sure they'll be fine.
Thanks so much, Tim.
No problem.
Thanks so much for listening. I'm at the National Equine Forum all day today, and I'll be bringing you interviews with guest speakers, with some of the experts. We'll be live tweeting the conversations that are taking place and photos too, so you can get involved in what's happening at the NEF. Tweet us your questions. What do you think about some of the subjects that are being talked about? Just use #HorseHour, #NEF17. The experts here are talking in detail about how we can make changes to the industry. How can we improve our equestrian industry? And you're part of that as well. So do tweet us your opinions and your questions. I will speak to you very soon.